with us. Let's go ahead and go to Bill in Australia. Bill, you're on the air.
Hello, man.
Hi.
Okay, Alex, I'm calling up because of some information that I came into contact with basically about a fortnight ago. And if I could just run through a few articles which leads up to this information and what it's in regards to. It has to do with the Panvax vaccine, which is only to be used in the event of a pandemic H5N1 avian flu virus. Now, this goes back to 2005. There's an article called Bird Flu Pandemic Threat Being Ignored. And in this article, the important thing is Kevin Rudd is speaking basically of the risks of a pandemic virus and that it's a national security risk and the public needs to do more. And this is in 2005. So then going to 2005 in November, there are egg producers in Esperance. And Esperance is along Western Australia and down the southern end of Australia, basically. And they're talking about the risk of migratory birds possibly carrying the avian flu. And they're saying that they're prepared and they're not too worried about it. And this is in 2005. And then you come to 2007, in January, CSL releases a media release, and it's in regards to the announcement for the Panvax vaccine. They've done clinical trials and they're ready to register the actual.
And so right as the vaccine's ready, they say it's about to break out and you got to take it. And they're doing vaccine trials all over the world, killing people, and it's admitted they're dying. And they're now admitting, Baxter admits AP, contaminated seasonal flu product contained live bird flu virus. And I was sitting there pumping gas this morning. Let me tell the story and I'll get to the punchline. I'm sitting there pumping gas, and I see this father next to me in a truck, and he's pumping gas, and he's got his little baby daughter in the back seat of the truck. It's a double cab, and I'm sitting there pumping gas, looking at this little, probably 9-month-old daughter giggling and smiling at him. And he kept giggling and, looking back at the gas he was pumping and looking back at her playing peekaboo. And I said, "Is that your first baby?" I said, "Because I can sure tell you're excited." And he goes, "Yeah, it's my first." And I said, "Well, did you ever notice how the media implied it was horrible having children, but isn't it wonderful?" And he said, "Yeah, the media really does say that, but it's the best thing in my life." And I said, "Yeah, well, look into not giving her vaccines." And he just looks at me and he goes, real arrogantly, "Well, my wife's a pediatrician, and she really thinks they're great." And you could tell this guy kind of doesn't wear the pants. And I said, I was thinking, she's the high priest. She's the new priest class. I understand. I'm just an unwashed person down here. But I said to him nicely, I said, a few decades ago, it was 5 vaccines they pushed. Now it's over 50, and they say in 2 years it's going to be over 100. I said, a lot of these are hurting people. I said, you need to think about that. And he said, yeah, I guess you got a point there, but, most of them are good. And I said, okay. I said, well, in your heart that it's wrong. And I said, so just think about your daughter. And I got in my car and drove off. And, I didn't want to talk to that guy. I didn't want to try to put him in his place. I didn't want to try to act uppity to him. I didn't want to actually talk to him. I'm a private person. But I had a responsibility, because I know he loves his daughter, to try to warn him and to protect that innocent from that bioweapon attack. But his wife is this compartmentalized, lower guild priest who's brainwashed, doesn't know about Tuskegee, doesn't know about atomic soldiers, doesn't know about them radiating foster kids, doesn't know about everybody dropping dead from the vaccines, or if they do, they rationalize it. And there's a good chance it's going to end up messing his daughter up. They'll wonder why she dies at 35 of cancer, or they'll wonder why she ends up being mildly retarded, or they'll wonder, and then they're so committed to their lie, though, and that mother who's on a power trip that she's the high priest, she's a priest class doctor, she won't even care. They'll stick their daughter in a grave before they care, before they admit they're wrong, probably. And I tried my best to reach out to them, but sorry, go ahead.
No, you're exactly right. And just on that issue, I have 2 very good friends, and they've both recently had children for the first time. And one decided to get the vaccines, and one has refused to get the vaccines. And the one that refused to get the vaccines still had to authorize administration for one vaccine. It was called the K vaccine. Now, that K vaccine was basically forced onto that child. It had no choice. It had to get this vaccine. But the other ones, apparently he has a choice in the matter. that is another issue I'd like to bring up with you on another day, actually, because that's something I'm monitoring and doing research on.
Actually, that's vitamin K, and that's not the law either. That's a blood clotting agent, as if our design isn't the way we're supposed to be designed. That's so when they prick them and stick them and jab them, they don't. The child doesn't bleed to death. But it's just a nightmare. Okay, finish up your bird flu situation.
All right. Yeah. Well, basically, then in 2007 August, there was a horse flu outbreak, which basically shut down the horse industry, and they had to quarantine the states. So they set up checkpoints and everything, and they were running drills on basically how to get the people ready for the real thing. I think it was a dry run for it, and considering the outbreak actually arose from the quarantine centre where it was supposed to be under control.
Yeah, it always does. Oh, yeah, I saw that about the horse flu. Again, in England, the government released the foot and mouth. They are the terrorists. They don't change their M.O., folks. And I did see that, how the government accidentally released the horse flu, and they accidentally released the foot and mouth, and the White House just accidentally was all on Cipro 3.5 weeks before the anthrax got delivered, and they just care about you. I mean, come on, they're the government. I mean...
Now, Alex, here's another key article, and this is very important because it's titled, anyone can search these articles that I have mentioned online and you'll find them. This one's titled, Vaccine Tag Set to Help Minimise Bird Flu Toll, and it's dated September 15, 2007. And it's basically, they're talking about a biomarker which is going to be in the vaccine. And this is quoting the doctors. It says, if a bird is vaccinated or infected, the antibodies are going to be very similar. So you can't clearly differentiate a vaccinated bird from an infected bird. We're adding a biological tag into the vaccine so that you'll know that your birds are vaccinated. That's very important to be able to do because we want to be able to monitor the presence of the virus and how it is spreading through the flocks.
And exactly, and these biological tags they're trying to put in human vaccines, too, are associated with all sorts of cancer and things. You got to finish, though. I got to go to other calls.
Okay, man. Well, then, basically, all that leads up to the CSL then releasing their Panvax media release where it's ready to go, it's been approved, and the virus, the vaccine is only to be used in the event of a pandemic. Now, 2 weeks ago, I received notice from a friend of mine that a family member of his who works at CSL told him that they're very busy and they're taking delivery of 300,000 eggs a day.
Yeah, and that means they're using eggs to incubate the virus.
So when I heard that 300,000 eggs a day, I thought, okay, obviously this is only to be ramped up and the manufacture is only to be in process when the pandemic is actually released. So
that's normally how it works. Yeah, no. I mean, they train the police that are returning armies about to come back and bomb every city, and then magically the bombs start. I mean, this is how they do it. I appreciate your call. Yeah, the globalists are making their move announcing world government right now. That means they're going to play a bunch of tricks. Stage terror, bird flu, mass shootings. Just get ready. They're coming for you. And if you roll over to them and end up like Soviet Union or Maoist China or Nazi Germany, remember, the globalists funded all of them. Okay, I said I'd take a lot of calls. I just spent 10 minutes with that caller. Kurt